Hello, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's well. It's going to be quite a serious video, and I want everyone to know that I'm really nervous, so bear with me. Before I get into the video, I want to talk about why I'm talking about this. And first of all, I want to emphasise that it is okay to talk about your mental health. And as much as I encourage it on my other videos, I think it's a bit hypocritical if I don't talk about my own experiences, because I want people to know that I'm not just coming from an outside perspective here. I have experienced my own mental health problems and I do understand what people are going through, and that's why I'm not just saying for every advice video just talk to your friends, because I know it's not that easy, and I want to, I guess, talk about that in this video a bit more. I also want to emphasise that you can get through these, as tough as these times are. You can work through them and you can come out stronger, and I know what I experienced isn't the most severe compared to other people, but it is still a bit an experience, and I have learned from it. And then also I think this video is a bit of a cathartic effect for me, because it gets this massive weight off my chest. It means I don't have to have these conversations with every person I meet, or at least every person I know now, because they know. So my mental health experience, or my worst mental health experience, started off in around year 10, and throughout year 10 and 11 I got quite severely bullied. And this might come as a surprise to some people, because I am a very different person to who I was at that point, but I did get bullied, and it was a bad time in my life. Basically things happened, rumours got spread, and overnight my name was everywhere. People I'd never even heard of knew of me and knew my name, and instantly I became the brunt of every single joke. Every single comment made in class was towards me, and I'd get my name shouted out in the middle of lessons. People would talk about me like right next to me as if I wasn't there, and I'd be walking down the street and I'd have my name shouted out. I'd had abuse shouted out. My self-esteem just plummeted. I did not like myself one bit, and although when I was experiencing everything that I experienced, all these horrible feelings, this loneliness, this anxiety, this feeling of complete isolation from everyone else, I tried to maintain a strong face, and I think that's why this video might come as a shock for some people, because even if some people knew what was going on, I don't think anyone realised how I was feeling, because I didn't tell anyone. I felt so alone, and so, I didn't feel like I had any friends. And I don't think I had any friends. I had people that I'd speak to and have a laugh with, but no one that I felt comfortable with, because I was so worried that every single person was about to make a joke and make me humiliated in front of everyone. I had people message me online that I didn't even know. And it was never physical bullying. I never got beaten up, I never got touched even. It was just this constant psychological battering I was taking every single day in school. I'd come in and I would just be waiting for the first person to make a comment and everyone to laugh at me. And I was alone through this. I couldn't have picked friends that didn't take the piss out of me because everyone did, and I understand that not everyone was a malicious person. I don't think everyone was this like bully person trying to make someone feel bad, but I think at this age your identity and your self-esteem and trying to discover who you are as a person is so distorted and so confusing that if there is a trend you can hop on, if there's a bandwagon you can hop on, people will so readily do it because they want to be liked by other people, because that's so important at that age. And I guess unfortunately for me the bandwagon was taking a piss out of me. And during this time I didn't speak to anyone about it. I took this whole burden on my own. And I think when I came home I knew full well that I could have spoken to my parents about it, but it's like I wanted to escape the fact that that was going on. So when I came home I didn't want to think about it at all. So when I did get these messages from people that I didn't know, it was tough, because when I went to school I had those barriers up. And I was already sort of waiting for it to happen. It was just a constant waiting. But when I was home I didn't expect it, or I didn't want it to happen, and receiving those messages just sort of reminded me of what I was going to have to go to the next day. And I think people watching this that maybe knew me might not expect these feelings, because I did try and put this brave face on. I did try and maintain that confident persona, and I understand that they may be either confused or they may be even doubting me, but this is genuinely how I felt and what I perceived the experience as. And I know it can be tough to hear that someone who acted completely differently, like I still acted like I was this confident and outgoing person, but I didn't feel it. So as a result of these experiences, I became really, really anxious, and I didn't trust anyone, and I was so scared when I was in a close and intimate relationship that I tried to avoid forming them for a long time. I just thought any friendship that I was in, when they would take the piss out of me for like a joke, or they would, you know, we'd have an argument, not even an argument, like we'd disagree, I'd be so worried that they didn't like me anymore, because it's hard to trust someone to like you when you don't like yourself. I think that I had such low self-esteem. I hated myself because of what these people were saying, and it was so detrimental to everything I was doing. It was tough. I've never felt more alone in my life. And it got to a point where I was so scared of getting on a bus or going into town, because I was so worried that people were going to call out my name or humiliate me in front of everyone. And just hearing the words Josh Taft, even to this day, makes me feel this deep feeling of discomfort, because it would always be Josh Taft is this, or sure Josh Taft did that, and it was just, those words were associated with so much embarrassment and shame and guilt and self-loathing and just these horrible feelings. I'd hear it anywhere, and I would just want to escape the situation so quickly. I'd want to run, I just want to get out. But because I was trying to maintain this strong, confident persona, I didn't. I never defended myself. I'm not even, and I never showed my feelings. And I think it all sort of started to turn around a bit when I got to sixth form, because I managed to make this friendship with my best friend who helped me begin to express my emotions. She was more understanding than anyone had been about it before, and whilst I didn't admit everything, just beginning to speak about it opened up the doors a little bit to let out some of that emotion. And then that was furthered when I got my girlfriend at the time, because it got to a point where I was so anxious and so worried that she was going to leave me. It got to a point where I had panic attacks over the fact that we had like an argument, or she'd said something, or I'd said something that upset her, and I'd be worried she was leaving me. And that created such a toxic environment that she couldn't, I guess, flourish in, because every time she'd get upset I'd get so defensive because I didn't want to admit to myself that I'd done something wrong, because that would mean she might want to leave. And that was not a healthy environment. And I think because of that, because I was so worried about her leaving me, I decided to start going to counselling, purely because I didn't want her to leave me. It wasn't for my own good. I'd accepted how I was at that point. I just sort of thought that I was an anxious person and I wouldn't be able to form these relationships with people, and realising how detrimental I was to those relationships, it made me want to turn it around. So I went to counselling for about 6 or 7 months, I think, at the start of year 13, and it did change my life. It gave me a new outlook. It helped me create those building blocks to develop my self-esteem more, because when I went there it was absolutely zero. There was no self-esteem there at all. And she helped me think through things and view things differently, and I can't thank that woman enough, because she changed my perspective on everything. And it was a long process, and it wasn't like after 6 months I was fine, but after 6 months I had that foundation to work on, to really get to grips with who I was as a person and appreciate myself. And I think that relationship I was in at the time just gave me a sort of push in the right direction. I think one thing that she highlighted that was important was that I am a sensitive person by nature, and that's not something I should want to change. That's something I should accept and be happy about, and it is something I'm happy about now, because I experience emotions deeply, whether that's positive or negative, and that can lead to very good things in my life. It can lead to so much joy and so much appreciation for who is around me, but it can also mean that should I face these adverse circumstances, I will be affected a lot. But that part of me is okay, but it doesn't mean that I can't get out of these negative feelings and I can't learn from what I've experienced, because ultimately that's what I'm trying to emphasize in this video. I have come out so much stronger, so much more comfortable in my own skin, not aesthetically, but me as a person, I'm a lot more comfortable, because I'm so much more able to just zone out what other people think of me now, because I've had the worst. Nothing anyone really says, it's like, cool, like you don't upset me. Obviously I have my moments that you're not just going to go from this negative experience to completely okay 100% of the time, but it's so much more rare, and I'm so much more able to deal with it because of the people around me now, and also because of these skills I've learnt myself, which came from that counselling, which came from realising maybe the situation I was in wasn't the healthiest for me, or the people around me at that time weren't the healthiest for me, and getting away from that and giving myself time to develop myself has helped, and it has developed that self-esteem. So I don't consider myself to have anxiety anymore. I have anxious moments, as does everyone, and perhaps I have more, perhaps I don't. I can't make that assumption, but I just want people to know that whilst you can feel so alone and so isolated, you're not alone. You're never alone. There's so much things that people can have access to that can help. Like, you can go online to find resources, or you can speak to the Samaritans, or if you go to university, or your Nightline, or there is always resources. You've got Mind, which is a charity that works towards younger people's mental health. There's so many different resources out there, and even just the people around you, your parents, your close friends, your teachers. The teachers were some of the most supportive people I spoke to. There is always someone there, and you are not alone, and other people have gone through it as well, and other people understand it. Just because someone looks like they haven't been through something doesn't mean they haven't. And yeah, I think I'm going to go into more depth in some other videos on different aspects of that, like the relationships or the friendships or the different ways I've built up that self-esteem, but for now I think that's enough. Sorry it was a serious one. I just think it's important to get it out there. Yeah.